I'd like to talk about something that happened recently. Can't remember how recently, but down somewhere in England, there was a woman, an old woman, whose house was broken into by two men, one armed with a machete and the other man armed with a hammer. So, from what I've gathered on this situation, this is kind of old news from about a week ago or so, but from what I've gathered, to be really honest, I didn't look into it. These things just annoy me. But from what I have gathered, she was a bit of a prepper, and she had a room apparently dedicated to keeping weapons like crossbows and probably air guns and knives. And she kept the crossbow, much like this one, cocked. By cocked, I mean the string was back. The string was cocked back to the trigger with a bolt in, ready to be fired as soon as it's picked up, which is kind of a silly thing to do. It's actually pretty dangerous, but anyway. She ran into this room and she grabbed her crossbow and she shot one of them. I think it was the guy with the machete. She shot him in the stomach, and after that they ran away. And I think there's something we can learn from that. I mean, what would have happened had she not have done that? If she had not picked up her crossbow and shot them, she probably would be dead. Because we're talking a guy armed with a machete and a hammer in her home. She successfully defended her own life, her property, and possibly anyone else's life who may have been in the building at the same time. Now, I do believe that the police have not found the two suspects. But for me, what this says is, well, I think she'd be in a really bad situation if she hadn't actively taken measures to protect herself. What would have happened if she hadn't had a crossbow at all? Because she had that mindset to be ready, because that was her, clearly was her mindset. She was ready to take on an attacker if the need arose, and the need did arise, and she successfully defended herself. Now, I'd quite like to make a note. It's actually illegal to do that. The fact that she had the crossbow for self-defense, I do believe, is actually illegal. It's not illegal to own a crossbow. Anyone over 18 can have a crossbow in this country. You don't need a license. But it's illegal to have any item for self-defense, which is part of the problem with this country. Now, I don't own these items for self-defense. I just like to collect things, like to shoot, I like to collect knives. But the point remains, had she not done that, she quite possibly would have ended up dead. Our government completely forbids us from owning anything for self-defense. But because she chose to ignore that, that probably saved her life. And a lot of these cases where people break into people's houses, they don't get caught. I would also, once again, like to bring to attention the moped and motorcycle theft that's going on in London, probably as we speak, but it's been going on quite a bit recently in the past few months and probably the past few years, where groups of people on motorcycles will surround a single motorcyclist and steal their bike off them at knife point, because these people have no way of defending themselves. And even in your own home, it's illegal to prepare. Although you are allowed to pick up a weapon and use it in self-defense in the heat of the moment, you're not allowed to take you're not allowed to prepare for it. You're not allowed to plan for it, because that is premeditated assault or premeditated murder or some nonsense. So basically, if you are being attacked and in the heat of the moment you pick up a hammer and you smack them on the head with it, you could possibly claim self-defense and say you used reasonable force. I still don't know what reasonable force is, honestly. But what if you don't have anything lying around in the heat of the moment and there's someone coming at you with a machete or a hammer or a screwdriver or any other item? There's not much you can do unless you're prepared. I really think we need to rethink our laws in this country. I think we should be allowed to own items for self-defense. Anything would be better than nothing. At the very least, be allowed to have what is already legal, and we should be able to prepare for it. So if that means having a hammer by the bed, well, so be it. It's just better than nothing. I mean, as it stands right now, if you have the hammer by the bed for self-defense, well, premeditated assault or premeditated murder because you're planning for it, which is the most ridiculous thing. One of the most ridiculous things about this country. But to be really honest, I wouldn't be surprised if the British establishment tried to, ban hammers or license hammers, because, well, that's what our government is famous for doing, banning and licensing things. And there has been some crime with hammers, and the police have picked up hammers in their so-called weapon sweep. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say on the matter. I thought it was kind of important, so thank you for listening. Please comment, rate and subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you soon.